2025 is finally done and dusted, my 50th year on Earth and my first on YouTube. This time last year I uploaded my first video to this platform after my previous attempts failed because I was just too lazy to bother. This time I set myself a schedule of uploading every Monday, which I've managed to stick to pretty well. I even managed a couple of midweek posts, but I didn't stick to that as it was too much for someone who still has a full-time job. I didn't start the channel with any specific goal. Yes, it would be great if I got big enough to earn a full-time living, but the reality from the vast majority of channels is that they earn nothing. So all I wanted to do was to make videos on things I'm interested in and see what lands. It's been an enjoyable and satisfying experience, even if some of the videos have been rushed and most have been poorly watched and mostly unappreciated. It's early days though, and most creators spend years slugging it out before they crack the ethereal algorithm. It's rare for someone to hit the big time within the first few months of uploading. From the start, my main ambition was to make videos on travel, accommodation and sports. For travel, it was wherever I chose to visit, both UK and internationally, sometimes famous places and sometimes unusual. For accommodation, I wanted to focus on cheaper places, mainly hostels, but I've done a variety. For sport, I wanted to feature lower level competitions or the less famous events, and I managed to do some good stuff. However, all that costs money, and it's clear that having a regular upload schedule is very important to getting noticed. So I filled in the blank spaces with much easier content, namely movie reviews and the occasional book review. There have also been some attempts at social commentary and video essays, with varying degrees of success. I wonder if these videos have hurt my channel's development as it's led to a certain inconsistency in topics. But as I said before, it's early days, and I don't regret focusing on getting the regular uploads out there. This year I had some very interesting travel experiences. I did a hell of a lot of UK visits to places I've never been to, such as Henley, Oxford, Coventry, Cardiff, Chester, Carlisle, Dundee and Nottingham. I love seeing local places for the first time and was really surprised with what has been on my doorstep all these years. Internationally, Central Asia was the big one. Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan were steaming hot mostly, but endlessly fascinating. They were off the beaten track, but there are a few tourists making the big leap like me, and hopefully that trend will continue upward. I also spent a long and fantastic 50th birthday weekend in Brussels with a couple of friends, one of whom was hitting the big 50 on the same day. It was an amazing and rare example of me travelling with company, something I'm not used to, but enjoy when it happens. For accommodation, it's been a mixture. I stayed in one very luxurious hotel in central London, thanks to a friend who arranged it for me for the low price of a 1,000-word article. There were hostels of varying styles and quality, and the same for normal hotels for the average traveller. There was even a first-class train cabin. In sport, I finally got around to watching some of England's magnificent non-league football, and I love seeing how much genuine enjoyment people get from watching competitive matches at levels that are, at best, a decade's worth of promotions to the Premier League at clubs that have no chance of getting to the fourth tier. There was also some lower-level rugby union, and that was equally enjoyable. I did see some top-tier sport though. The biggest event was the Rugby League Challenge Cup final, and I got to experience Hull KR's first step on the historic treble, which somehow wasn't good enough for the BBC Sports Personality Team of the Year. There was the Challenge Cup Ice Hockey, surrounded by the passionate fans in Guildford, and the Brit Bowl, the championship game of British American football. In movies, there were some ups and downs. It started well with Nosferatu in September 5, but there was some absolute crud, some of it being disappointing there, while some being bad, but nowhere near as bad as I had feared. There was even one of the most disappointing films I've ever seen in my entire life, one that makes me wonder what the point of it all is. Weirdly, my most enjoyable movie experience was Snow White. It was clearly terrible, but not nearly as bad as I had expected. Also, there was a lot of anticipation in the run-up, something that doesn't happen much these days. I always had a lot of anticipation for a Running Man, and that is easily the most disappointing movie of the year. So, how has my channel done so far? Well, according to Social Blade, as of just after midnight, I rank equal 1,144,727th overall, with about 22 million accounts above me, and equal 4,119th in GB, apparently with no one higher, which I don't understand. I rank equal 4,914th for subscribers, with about 50 million higher, and 5,563,372nd for views, with about 45 million higher. Given that Social Blade ranks 87 million YouTube accounts, I think these numbers are pretty good after 1 year. So what will I be doing this year? The year of our Lord, whom I don't believe in 2026. Well, more of the same. Travel and accommodation will be the biggest focus, with sport adding to it, sometimes being integrated. I'll do more book reviews, but focusing on travel books, as hopefully that will help keep the channel more focused. I'll continue to do movie reviews, though they may become less important as the channel progresses. I do need to change up my content. I've been watching a lot more of my favourite travel channels and trying to understand what they've done to get the viewing figures they enjoy. There are a variety of styles and content types, and I certainly don't want to copy anyone. But they've obviously figured out how to get the views and audience retention, and it would be really dumb not to try and do what they do. I'm not going to spend money on expensive filming equipment or upgrading my editing software. And for now, I won't worry about attention-grabbing graphics. I'm going to keep it simple and focus on the substance of the content. My travel videos have been montages of clips with captions and incidental music. Now I want to include scripted commentary, which will be a lot more work with writing, researching and planning. Trips will have to be a lot more staged and a lot less random, and there will be more food and drink. I have a big plan for one travel project that will lead to at least 3 videos and require a lot of pre-production work, so I'll be getting started on that immediately. I'll also start the year with a few short experimental videos to get used to a new style of presentation and production. Hopefully that will improve my audience retention, get a few more subscribers and whack up my viewing time. My most popular video has been the Rugby League Challenge Cup final, followed by Dushanbe. Both have enough views to earn money if I was monetized, but there's a big drop to the next few, though they are mostly travel. My most viewed movie review is Thunderbolts, and in book reviews it's The Running Man. I still think these have value, but I also think trying to make the channel more focused would be best. My worst video is the essay on the Wright brothers, followed by one on Trump, so I know for sure I should avoid that stuff. My hopes for 2026? Obviously an increase in views and subscribers. On Social Blade, I want to break through a few barriers. I want to get in the top 1 millionth position for the whole site, and the top 4,000th for Britain. For views, hopefully I'll get in the top 5 millionth position, and subscribers the top 4,000th. I want to at least double my subscriber count and have videos regularly hitting 100 plus views in a week and 1,000 in a month. I think that's modest and realistic, but it will require upping my game. I'll also be doing a lot more on Substack to support my channel. So I hope you had a wonderful 2025 and are recovering from the festivities. Happy New Year, and let's make 2026 a spankingly good one.